Is your heart beating? Great. Today, we're going to cover some of the other basic survival needs that you can take care of as you craft your first budget. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the most important things that you must cover in your budget while you are getting out of debt so that you can stay out of debt. I'm your host, Jewlz the Budget Nerd, and I have made hundreds of survival mode budgets because I think it's the key to long-term financial success. I'm a certified financial coach helping my clients get out of debt and live their dream lives. But I'm also my first client. For over 20 years, I have been studying how people interact with our money and how it impacts our families. My husband and I have fallen into the trap of using credit to get ahead to the tune of $107,000. But we said we were done with that. We paid it off, and now we're not looking back. Let's jump into today's episode. So imagine you're on a deserted island. What do you need? What is the first thing that contestants on the show Survivor do? Food, water, shelter. Those are critical to daily life. So when we peel back those layers and we look at what we really need to survive the day, that's it. Now we can go a little bit further because we know that life isn't just about surviving, that we want to thrive and we want to enjoy it, and life is meant to be lived. So we surround ourselves with people, or like Tom Hanks in Castaway, there was no one there, but he needed to connect with someone, so he had Wilson, right? On Gilligan's Island, the professor, Marianne, they all had each other so that they didn't have to do their deserted island experience alone. And that's also what you need when you're creating your plan to get out of debt and when you're living in survival mode. You need to surround yourself with some of the people that are going the same place that you're going. Do you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs from your Psych 101 class? It's that triangle that shows the different levels of human needs, and starting at the very bottom is like the things that we need right now just to survive. So it's food, water, shelter. We need people in our lives, community, love. Those are the same things that we need when we're getting out of debt, because we need to live in a spot where we're not indulging all of the wants. We need to focus on the basic needs and know that this is not the final destination. It's just where we are in this moment so that we can get out of debt, and we're not going to stay there forever. We're just taking a little trip, right? Rest stop on this epic road trip to financial security. When my husband and I were forced to come face to face with our financial dumpster fire, and let me tell you, it was a dumpster fire. We could not pay our mortgage, make our car payment, make our minimums on our credit cards, put food on our table, and gas in the car all in the same month. So we had to stop, figure it out, and scale back our lifestyle. Now, in that scenario, one of us was unemployed, and so we didn't have the income to support that. That might not be your story. But right now, if you are struggling and you're making any credit payments on any type of debt, or if you're paying for something that happened yesterday, this is where you need to be living in, is survival mode. And as my grandpa would say, we're a little bit too big for our britches, right? Because we have kind of outlived where we are, outlived the lifestyle, the income that we have. So in our experience, the stress was piling up, and we were arguing about things that had nothing to do with our financial situation. We were arguing about things that we had settled long ago, but they were coming up and we weren't addressing those because we weren't talking about the elephant in the room, the fact that we had this huge financial mess. And I kind of think of it as like the adult version of like plugging your ears and stomping your feet, and you're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to talk about it. La, 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 right? So we wanted to have it both ways. We wanted to have the things, we wanted to have the lifestyle, but we also didn't want the stress of paying for it. And we had kind of created this monster, this ugliness for ourselves, and realized something had to stop because we were kind of chasing our tail, like as dogs do sometimes. You're just going around in circles and you're just not making any progress. Finally decided we're stopping. We're not doing this anymore. This is not the way for us to live and thrive and live a good life. And also it was causing stress and strain on our marriage, which we were not okay with. So the only way that I knew, based on my background and all the things that I had learned while getting my bachelor's degree in economics. So think about that. I had also got into this mess based on information that I already knew. We weren't on the right path, but we did it anyway. We had this mess and we had to figure out what we were going to do about it. So I wrote down all the expenses that we had. Everything. We looked back at our old bank statements, we looked back at our credit card statements, and we just looked through each item and asked ourselves, is this something that's absolutely necessary to our life? Is it food, water, shelter? Is it keeping a roof over our heads? So like your utilities, is it the mortgage? Is it homeowner's insurance? Is it putting food in our belly? Okay, so that does not include eating out. So that is not a survival mode thing. You have ingredients, we have food at home, right? We told ourselves that a lot. And then also we need to make sure that we had a car that was going to get us to and from work. Where we live, a car is absolutely necessary, but that might not be the story about where you live. And so we just had to figure out where we could cut back so that we could get down to this bare bones, the survival mode budget. And we knew that we were going to live there for a little while. And then we got laser focused on living within that. So we stopped using our credit cards. We stopped buying things. And that was helpful because up until that point, it was kind of like we were playing in quicksand and we were just trying to get out, and we were burning up a ton of energy and we weren't making any progress. So after we got that budget dialed in, we followed it. And it's a spending plan. It's a tool for you to decide how you're going to spend your money to achieve your goals. And our goal at that point was to stop living paycheck to paycheck. And if this is where you are, let's work on this together. And know that it takes the average family 3 months to find a budget that works for them. So, and this isn't your forever budget. This is just for the short term. So before we added any new expense, or before you add any new expense to that survival mode budget of food, water, shelter, and transportation to and from work, if that's necessary for you to accomplish your work and to protect your income, then that's what you need to do. Then we would ask a follow-up question. If we determined it wasn't necessary for our survival, we asked ourselves, can this wait just a little bit? Or if we felt like we needed it right now, why? Why did we need that right now? Because if it wasn't fulfilling one of those needs, there might be another need that it's addressing that are pointing towards that we need to address another way. So if it was keeping food in our bellies, if it was keeping a roof over our head or getting us to work, then it went in the budget. If it wasn't, it didn't go. And then when we did find those things that didn't fit into those categories of food, water, shelter, and transportation to and from work, we kept a running list. And you can keep that list on your phone, on a notepad, just keep it somewhere. Those things come up, and after you've covered those basic needs and you have money left over, that you look and see, okay, what of those things do I want to add into the budget? You can decide, do you want it now or do you want to wait till later? Do you want it now? Do you want to put it off and be debt free? So which do you want to accomplish first? That's what it comes down to. What for us was, when we looked at our list, we had to decide if we wanted this item or we wanted to be debt free. And it was a would you rather. Do you remember playing that game? Would you rather? Would you rather? We played that a lot. Would we rather have this and be in debt? Would we rather be out of debt and not have this item? Or is there another way that we could fulfill that need without spending money? When you answer those questions for yourself, it'll help you determine how you spend your money. Now, I didn't talk about one of the other needs that we have, and that's to have connection, to have community, to have some joy in our lives. Life isn't all about just sucking the joy out of it. And I think that budgets shouldn't suck the joy out of you. And so that's one of the things that I teach my clients, is there's a way to do this without just completely being so discouraged and down. Now, you have to focus and get it dialed in, because I'm not talking about having a family vacation at Disneyland or while you're in debt at all. We did not do things like that. But now that we're out of debt, those things are a totally different scenario. So when you're in debt, you want to focus on what is most important, but then you also want to figure out ways to have fun. So how can you have fun without spending a bunch of money and just being a downer? think about what brings joy to your family. What is something that your family enjoys doing? And come up with some lists of things. Maybe you have a master list that everyone in the family puts, hey, you know what? What's something that you find fun? And put that on there. And you might find some really fun things come up, especially if you have younger kids you might not realize, or even if you have older kids, if you have teenagers and you haven't asked this question in a while. What are something that they want to do together? And put that on the list and brainstorm these ideas so that when it comes time to plan, and that's what I have found is so effective, is creating a plan so that when things come up, you got a point of reference to know, hey, are we on the right track or not? And so that's what I'll talk a lot about, brainstorming and coming up with lists and ideas. And that was something that worked really well for me. I'm a list builder. You might not be a list builder, so this might not be a natural thing for you, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be a really long list either. Seek help. Find other people. I've looked on Pinterest a lot when I was trying to come up with ways to have a no-spend weekend or ways to have fun without blowing our budget. There's tons of ideas on Pinterest, and I do have a Pinterest board. You can check that out on Jewlz the Budget Nerd on Pinterest, and come up with some fun ideas and some ways to bring some entertainment, some joy to your family while you're also getting out of debt. Now, one thing that we like to do is we would make it a game. So maybe you're going to flip heads and tails. Who gets to decide? Maybe you're going to draw numbers out of a hat. Find a way so that it's a little bit of an adventure, and then whoever wins that gets to pick the thing off the list. And so sometimes in our case, it might be the 5-year-old that's picking the thing off the list. And then in your case, it might be the 17-year-old that's choosing what thing that the family does. Maybe that's a family activity or family outing for that day or week or month or whatever. Involve them in the process. So I used to have this sign up in our house that said, happy is what you make it, always has been, always will be. And I would read that over and over and over again. And especially when we were going through our debt elimination process, same thing applies here. This process will be what you want it to be. If you want to be miserable getting out of debt, you can be. And I will be honest, there were some times that we were miserable because we just wanted, I remember a time we had decided we weren't going to get each other gifts for a while because we were really, really focused and didn't want to go into debt or spend that money on whatever the gift was until we had our debt paid off. And we got to a point where I was like, I just really want something small. It didn't have to be something big. I think it was Valentine's Day was the holiday, but I wanted to do something. And so we decided we would have a dollar amount that we were okay with spending. And we did that. But that was just a one-time thing. It wasn't something because we were laser focused. And that could be up to you. How long this process takes is totally up to you. But we get to decide the way that we approach it. If we want to be miserable about it, we can be miserable about it. But you can also embrace it as an opportunity to be creative and do things differently than you've done them before. Because you'll never know until you give it a shot what can come from this experience. I found it was a little bit easier to choose the opportunity to be creative, and we found out that there were things that we had never tried before, and we did. We had fun. We enjoyed spending time together without spending money. So the process of getting out of debt and eliminating debt from our lives is not simple, especially if you're really deep into it like we were, $107,000 and trying to figure out, okay, we need to get all of this taken care of. But it is a simple process. Stopping, making a plan, and sticking to that plan as best as you possibly can and keeping your eye on the prize. Well, Debt Rebel, it didn't happen overnight. We didn't get here overnight, did we? So give yourself some grace and know that it's going to take some time. There are options and there are things available that as you start this process, and maybe you've already looked into it, filing bankruptcy or using debt relief or debt consolidation companies or plans. And I will say, when we entertained some of those ideas, some of those we did and other ones we didn't, they didn't work because it didn't address the behavior and the reasons why we got to where we were. It just it treated the symptoms, not the problem. So give yourself some grace and know that this will take some time, but it will be the time and the effort that you put into it will be well worth it. And there will be a direct correlation on how fast this happens for you and your family. So surround yourself with people who are on the same path as you. You become like the 5 people that you hang out with most or you spend the most time with. So that might be the people in your household and maybe a couple other people, and realizing that what they say and what they're saying about this process and how it affects them will play a huge role on how fast or how slow that this goes. So make sure that the voices that you're hearing are the ones that are pointing you in the right direction, the direction that you want to go. So I say surround yourself with those people that are going the same path. Fill your brain with where you want to go. So listening to things like this podcast or listening to audiobooks, reading books about finances, talking to other people that are on the same journey as you. Join a community of people. We have a Facebook group that you can join, and we share stories and we share ideas and tips and tricks and celebrate together each step along this journey, because it's so much easier when you know that you're not alone and that there's someone on this same journey as you, and that you might arrive at the destination at different times, but you're going to the same destination. Don't lose sight of your why. Why do you want to be financially secure? Why do you want to kick debt to the curb? Why do you want to have a better financial life than you currently do? Your dreams depend on what you do in this exact moment. And every step that you take towards your goal gets you closer. And every step you take away from your goal takes you back to where you were. So my question for you is, which direction do you want to go in? If you were to look at your life in 1 year and you decide, hey, I'm going to make a budget for my family and get out of debt, what is possible? Would you have a small emergency fund saved? Could you be completely debt-free? What if you paid cash for that next big purchase? So there's some great questions to entertain. And if it's something that you're ready to do and you're ready to take a step on, I always love to end our podcast with an action step. So today, it could be that you're going to get your budget started and you're going to dig into those financial goals. And I'm here for it. That's what I am designed to do. I absolutely love it. And so on my website, you can take the 5-day challenge. That's totally free. Or if you want to take some serious progress on your financial goals, then dive into the Debt Rebel Starter Kit, where I'll walk you through the exact same exercises that my family went through to make a budget and save $1,000. And you'll also get a checklist of places that you didn't realize that you're hiding money from yourself. And my favorite is that I'll give you ways that will show you that life's little joys are still there, but aren't going to take away your hard-earned cash. So seriously, let's get a spending plan in place. Let's get a budget that doesn't suck the life out of you. You are the catalyst when it comes to changing your family's financial future. What do you want it to look like? Thank you for listening to the Debt Rebel podcast. You can find full show notes from today's episode at jewlzthebudgetnerd.com. That's JEWLZ, thebudgetnerd.com/show notes. You can take action on something you learned today and connect with me on my website at jewlzthebudgetnerd.com. If you loved today's episode, I'd be honored if you hit that subscribe button and leave me a review. And remember, every step toward financial independence is a rebellion against debt. So stay strong, keep pushing forward, and fight the good fight. Until next time, Debt Rebel, stay resilient.